In April 2019, my friend Celia was driving her 7-year-old daughter Ella home from Target when her phone rang. It was Celia's mother-in-law, Ella's grandmother, and Celia answered the call using Bluetooth. They heard very sad news via the car speakers. Ella's great-grandmother had just passed away. Ella, though, seemed unperturbed. Throughout the call, she piped up from the back seat with unrelated questions, like whether she could watch TV when they got home. At one point, she yelled unsympathetically, "Who died?" Celia tried to take the call off speaker, but she couldn't figure out how. Needless to say, the 8-minute drive home felt excruciatingly long. When Celia finally got off the call, Ella asked her if she could give a speech at the funeral. Thinking she might want to share fond memories, she had seen her great-grandmother at least once a year since she was born, Celia asked her what she would want to say. Ella then launched into a potential speech about how sorry everyone should feel for her for having lost her great-grandmother. At one point, Ella paused. "What was her name again?" she asked, and then turned back to her speech, which had nothing to do with her great-grandmother and everything to do with Ella. Let's face it, kids can be incredibly self-centered. They interrupt you during important work Zoom presentations to tell you poop jokes. They don't want to share their Lego pieces, even though they have 4.8 million, not including the 642 strewn across the kitchen floor. They also have an astounding ability to put themselves at the center of every situation, even when doing so seems terribly inappropriate. Another friend of mine recently told me that when her son was opening presents on his first birthday, her 3-year-old daughter sat down next to him, burst into tears, and wailed, "It's not all about me." In situations like this, kids aren't usually trying to be assholes. They just can't help themselves. Toddlers and preschoolers don't have a particularly well-developed frontal lobe, the brain region responsible for planning, logic, reasoning, and self-control. I, too, get jealous when other people open amazing gifts in front of me, but I don't burst into tears because I have perfected the skill of silently fuming, and doesn't my husband know it? Young kids also haven't yet developed what's called theory of mind, the ability to put oneself in someone else's shoes and understand their perspective. Without theory of mind, it's hard to understand how your actions or words might affect others. Toddlers and preschoolers are basically living in an egocentric bubble, oblivious to the needs and experiences of everyone else. Older kids have their selfish moments too, of course, like another friend's 7-year-old nephew, who sat down to a lavish Mother's Day dinner that his grandmother had spent the afternoon preparing for the entire family, only to immediately start whining and to demand that she make him chicken nuggets instead. That said, some kids do seem more or less selfish than others. My 2 kids, for instance, couldn't be more different in this regard, and their Halloween baskets are a case in point. My son hoards his candy and rarely even shares the candies he dislikes. When I recently asked him for a Reese's peanut butter cup, a candy he loathes, he paused and said, "Didn't I give you one like 4 months ago?" My daughter, on the other hand, gives most of her candy away. She wraps individual candies up in tissue paper and hands them out to friends, teachers, and acquaintances. How is it possible that these kids share the same home, parents, and half of their genes? I honestly don't know sometimes. Still, researchers who study children's behavior say that regardless of a child's baseline inclination toward selfishness, we as parents can make a difference. We can inch our kids in the right direction, little by little, day by day, with simple strategies.